Hey everybody, it's GauntletX, and welcome to the Dominaria United Qualifier Weekend event. This is going to be a competitive best-of-3 Dominaria United Sealed Event. It's a qualification-only event. You had to qualify by either winning one of the two qualifier play-in events that take place every month, or you could qualify how I did, by maintaining top 250 mythic rank at the end of the previous season. There's some serious prizes on the line, and we're going to be getting a solid chunk of gems no matter what happens, and if we make it to day 2, we'll be competing in an additional best of 3 sealed event, where the grand prize, 7 wins on day 2, is an entry to the next Arena Championship event. Arena Championship events are the top tier of competitive Magic Arena play. They're the massive events that are streamed on Magic's official Twitch channel. There's about 3 per year, and only 32 players qualify for each, and there are thousands of dollars in cash prizes on the line in those events. So, as I said, only 32 players qualify for the Arena Championships out of 4 months of these Qualifier Weekend events, so it's pretty highly unlikely that we make it there, but I will be doing the best I can, and I'll be happy to just scoop up some gems along the way. So without further ado, let's see where the cards take us today. Well then, pretty sure we're playing green if we open up 2 Defiler of Vigors, some of the biggest bombs in the entire format, a 5-mana 6/6 trample, and whenever you cast a green permanent spell, you get to put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. We also have the Quarian Beastcaller, which is a pretty absurd bomb if you can cast this on turn 2 and then curve out more creatures afterwards. This one getting a +1/+1 counter on itself every time you cast a creature, and then moving all its +1/+1 counters around when it dies. We also have a great red rare in Squee, Dubious Monarch, a great aggressive card that spits out goblins every time it attacks, and it can escape from your graveyard by exiling 4 other cards and spending 4 mana. You can just recast this later, which is pretty sweet. This is a pretty excellent sealed pool. In terms of the rares, honestly, the quality of rares here, probably the best sealed pool I've ever opened in this format so far. I've had some kind of poor luck in the practice. We do have 2 lands, which, never great to open rare lands in this format when there are super serviceable lands at common that are actually just better than these. But double Defiler Vigor, Quarian Beastcaller, and Squee, we definitely can't be complaining here. So let's check out the full sealed pool. Hopefully we've got some great support in terms of our commons and uncommons for green at the very least, and maybe even green-red. Alright, so I usually like to look at my multicolored and colorless first, because that can tend to tell me some directions to go if there's some very powerful uncommon build-arounds. It also shows me where my mana fixing is. We've got 2 green-white duels, 2 white-blue, 2 blue-red, and 1 black-red. None of those are super relevant towards green, which is kind of rough, but I guess the green-white could be. When we look at our color list, there's nothing I'm super happy to play in any deck. I guess Automatic Librarian's a pretty great filler card. 3 mana, 3/2, scry 2, sets up your draws, and no matter what's going on with your mana, you'll be able to cast this card on 3. When we look at our uncommons, there are some pretty solid ones. Elas Ilkor is really nice in the white-black decks. They have a lot of random token production and just a relatively high creature count, so you get a lot of life gain and life loss out of this, plus a 2-mana 2/2 Death Touch, already a solid rate. Vohar, pretty similar, just a really good deal for that blue-black spells archetype. Nice Merfolk Looter, it can even let you flashback an instant or sorcery later. Niall's pretty nice in the domain decks if you can get a lot of different basic land types. And then Baird and Garna are both for like aggressive red strategies, red-white or red-black, but pretty good at those things. So we have some pretty solid uncommons. None of them are like anywhere near as strong as double Defiler, so they're not really pulling us off of green here, but they are nice to keep in mind. All right, so now I'm going to take a look at each individual color. This is what I tend to do, try to get a good feel for how powerful each color is alone, try to factor that into what colors I try to put into the deck. Looking at our white, it actually looks pretty solid here. We've got a really good 2-drop in the Knight of Dawn's Light. Banal Sleeper can be great in the white-black decks as well. Root Weaver's solid for green-white if we can kick it as a 3-mana play. And Skyrider's got a pretty solid kicker as well. Our non-creature spells are pretty good, pretty great. I would even say we have 2 Take Up the Shield, which is like the best combat trick in the whole format. Putting a +1/+1 counter on a creature, giving it lifelink and indestructible is huge. Really hard to win a race when your opponent all of a sudden kills your creature in combat without losing their own and gains a million life. Plus, their creature permanently gets a +1/+1 buff. Card's pretty nuts. Destroy Evil is also a great removal spell. There are plenty of big creatures in this format, and a few enchantments, so this pretty much always has a target, and if it doesn't, we can side it out. Join Forces is a solid trick. Heroic Charge is a solid finisher if we have a really high creature count. We don't really in white. It's pretty low on creatures, so it probably wouldn't make the cut off of just white, but if we have a backup color with a ton of creatures, it could be good. Citizen's Arrest is phenomenal removal. Love Song of Night and Day is basically just another creature. A solid 3-mana little flyer. 3-mana 2/2 flyer, get a +1/+1 counter on another card. Because of the read ahead mechanic, you just skip to chapter 2 every time. So you just treat it as you get your 1/1 bird, and then the moment that bird's going to be attacking, it's already a 2/2 bird. So again, 3-mana 2/2 flyer plus a +1/+1 counter. Fine rate, fine deal. Then we have Artillery Blast for more filler removal. Less a fan of that than I am Citizen's Arrest and Destroy Evil. But if we need more removal, we can certainly play that. Looking at our blue now, we have a really low creature count, but that tends to happen in blue. There are a lot of cards in blue that synergize off playing a lot of instants and sorceries, so there's a pretty high instant sorcery count in the color in general. Unfortunately for us, we didn't open anything that cares about casting a bunch of instants and sorceries, which makes our lack of creatures in the color even more awkward. Plus we have some very filler creatures like Tidepool Turtle and a Coral Colony with no other defender support. I guess we do have the one card that tutors a defender out of our deck, but really not enough walls to run that thing. When we look at our non-creature spells, some of these are filler as well. I don't love Impede Momentum unless I am incredibly aggressive, like the blue-red spells deck or something. Especially in Sealed, because the format is slower, will be plenty times where you cast this and the creature is going to eventually untap, which makes it so this was just kind of a tempo play for a little while, which I feel isn't super worth it. I do like Essence Scatter and Impulse a lot in the format. Timely Interference and Shore Up are great 1-mana tricks. Combat Researches can be okay if you have a ton of evasive creatures, but I'm not really going to run it in a low creature count deck or a creature heavy deck that just has a bunch of creatures on the ground, and doesn't look like it's going to be very good here with, again, only 3 creatures in blue. So unless our secondary color has just a ton of flyers, which I know our white didn't, and I don't think any other color in this format has that many evasive creatures, I don't think Combat Research will make the cut. But when you look at these, like, these are all really solid cards, so blue could still be a fine support color. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, we've got 9 like really solid blue cards. So if we find a main color that we could play like 14 solid cards in, or we could play like an automatic librarian in the deck, and then we'd only need 13 cards in our other color. Blue could actually be pretty fine. Again, kind of low on cards, but the ones that are here are pretty spicy. Taking a look at our black, looks like we have pretty great removal and not much else. I'm not really a fan of the Tattered Apparition, just a lot of mana to get it out. 4 mana for a 2/2 flyer is never a good deal, so it's not really going to do anything until you get to the point where you don't need your mana on other spells, and this is a slow enough, grindy enough format with enough card advantage that I feel like oftentimes you're going to have other spells you can play around with where mana sink cards go down in value a little bit, and this one already not the greatest rate, so I'm not a huge fan of the Apparition. Necromass is pretty great though, Rager's pretty great, but Necromass not good in a deck with a low creature count, and we only have 3 black creatures. And then Atrocity doesn't really make sense unless we're black-red, but I guess even in just black, it's a 3-mana 2/3 menace, which is fine. But yeah, I mean, looking at our non-creature spells, if we need removal, black is the color for it. We've got Extinguish the Light, we have 2 Tribute to Urborg, we have Cut Down, we have 2 Bone Splinters if we have some Sacrificial Fodder, and yeah, we've even got some card draw with Shadow Prophecy and some card disadvantage with Aggressive Sabotage to make our opponent discard a couple. So really solid non-creature stuff in black. We've got the 1 Rager, which is great. Necromass is pretty great, but again, the low creature count definitely makes Necromass quite a bit more awkward. Taking a look at our red here, we have a really big reason to try to be red, and that is Squee. We've also got more creatures than our other colors. They are filler creatures, but they make the cut. 2 Yavimaya Steel Crusher, a Goblin Picker, and a Keldon Strike Team Strike Team's a little iffy, but if I do go like green-red here, I have multiple dual lands that would help cast that. I have 2 Radiant Grove out of the green sources at the very least for the kicker, so it might still make the cut. I also have some removal. It's not great removal. It's 5 mana removal. Smash to Dust, I don't really main deck this card, but it can be fine out of the sideboard. Lightning Strike is really good removal. 2 mana instant, 3 damage to any target. That is much better than Jaya's Fire NATO, and that's a pretty exciting reason to be in red as well. So red actually looking pretty solid when you compare it to our other 3 colors we've looked at so far. Pretty comparable, I'd say, in power level. It again has a similar problem where it doesn't have that many cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But hopefully, if we can get 12, 13 green cards in here, we can just be the Gruul aggro deck that I would like to be. Taking a look at our green now, it looks pretty dang solid. We have a bunch of very playable 2-drops, Iconoclast, Beastcaller, Nishoba Brawler being incredible, Vine Wall being fine as well if we put a lot of duels in here to try to help hit Domain. Don't think we'll need a Scout the Wilderness, I'll probably cut that, and Llanowar Stalker as well. Very, very difficult to be aggressive enough to really want a Llanowar Stalker in this format in general, and especially in Sealed, so I don't think we're playing that. I do like our 4-drop Magnagoth Sentry. Barkweave Crusher, a little more filler, but it will probably make the cut. Defiler of Vigors definitely make the cut, and we've got some really, really nice, really aggressive combat tricks. 3 Gaia's Might, a Colossal Growth, and then a Bite Down for removal. Feel like a green-red aggro deck could be really sweet here, especially because Iconoclast can then be kicked, potentially a 3-drop just coming in as a 4/3 trample haste that turn. Really, really nice stuff in green here. There is almost no way that I'm not playing green in this sealed pool. Alright, so I threw all of the red cards back in except for the Smash to Dust, the thing that destroys a wall or does 1 damage to everything. And this looks like a really sweet deck. It's got a great aggressive curve for Sealed as well, along with cheap tricks to leverage against our opponent's bigger blockers as we're attacking in with 2/2s and stuff. All of a sudden we Gaia's Might or we Furious Bellow or something. I also have all of these dual lands. Even if I only put the green and red duals in, we have 4 of them to help hit off-color domains. And I could, if I really want to up the power of these Gaia's Mights and the Nishoba Brawler, I could also put in a couple more duels. 2 Idyllic Beachfront. Those would be a little awkward. They'd be basically colorless lands in the deck. So I don't know if our mana is good enough to support that, especially with really powerful like double green cards, but it's worth considering. I don't think it's that necessary. But it's definitely an option. But yeah, I mean, this looks like a really powerful, just streamlined aggro deck just kind of fell into our lap here. Tons of 2-drops and a few 3-drop creatures, plenty of combat tricks to use alongside them, a couple late game removal spells to get a big thing out of the way, but that's kind of what the combat tricks are for as well. I need to cut 1 card out of this deck. I'll probably cut like 1 Fire NATO here, honestly, because we can use all of these cheap combat tricks to try to win fights against bigger blockers as our ways to clear things out of the way. That's going to be a lot more mana efficient, and I'll still have 1 Jaya's Fire NATO in here if I really need it. And then that's kind of just a deck. We only have 15 creatures, which is a mild bit awkward. I'd like to have like 17 here, really, really pressure my opponent, but 15 is still good. That's still a hearty amount of creatures. We have some really nice synergies in here as well. We have some cheap creatures that could get really massive, like Beast Callers and Brawlers, to get a Molten Monstrosity out really early. We also have the synergy of if we cast a Gaia's Might or a Furious Bellow or a Colossal Growth or something early, that will also help reduce Monstrosity's cost and get it out on an early turn. So I think we have enough ways to get the Monstrosity out for cheap that it's not too often going to just get stuck on our hand. So I think that should be pretty solid in here as well. And yeah, I'm just really happy with this deck in general. I'm going to take one last look through all of everything that we're not playing and make sure there's nothing that seems like a really powerful splash here. But again, I think our deck with all these combat tricks, with all these cheap creatures, it's the kind of deck we would prefer not to splash things in. Because any card that sits in our hand for any amount of time is just slowing us down a little bit, making it a little slower to kill our opponents, giving them more time to stabilize and draw into some other stuff. So let's see. I mean, I'm going to take another look at everything else, but I don't think there was anything super worth splashing. Like, we could put in Take Up the Shields just because I have 2 white sources already, but again, if I ever don't hit that mana, it's going to be really rough. Destroy Evil as well in white. That's only 1 white mana, and it's a pretty good removal spell. Blue doesn't look like it has anything I really want to splash. Black as well. Like, there's great double black cards, but not really good to splash a double black. So yeah, I don't think there's anything I want to splash here. I could splash an IL, but again, I'd be mucking up the mana a bit. I need to put a couple islands in here to help get there. Don't think it's worth it. I think this is just straight up the deck. I think I'm just going to run it as is. I can check how our mana looks here. Maybe we can fit in some more duels. We've got a 9-8 split. If I had a couple green-red duels, that would help a lot here, and then maybe I could put in some white-blue duels, but with only 3 domain cards. Yeah, we have a Nishoba Brawler. We have a Nishoba Brawler and triple Gaia's Might, so I guess we have 4 domain cards, but still, with just those, I don't think it's worth dedicating 2 of our lands to providing colorless mana just to help with the domain. So I think I'm going to run it as is. I think this is going to be the deck. Alright, for those who skipped ahead, here's a look at the final deck. It is a green-red aggro deck. We have a ton of, well, Vinewall doesn't really count. We have a ton of 2-drop creatures here to start the aggro early. Plenty of combat tricks to use alongside them to clear out bigger blockers from our opponent, keep the pressure on, and try to kill them quickly. Triple Gaia's Might, Furious Bellow, and Colossal Growth. We've got a bunch of creatures at 3 mana as well. And then some solid creatures just all the way up the curve, leading into 2 Defiler of Vigors, which are going to be really strong. We ran every green permanent that we opened, except for our 1 mana 1/1, just to get more potential triggers off of this thing. Plus, most of our green permanents are good. I think the only green permanent still in this deck that's not very good in here is Barkweave Crusher, which is just fine filler. But yeah, these Defiler of Vigors are absolutely disgusting. Even if we never get a counter on everything, a 5 mana 6/6 trample is going to be a big game ender for a deck as aggressive as this. We've got some really solid removal, a Lightning Strike, a Bite Down, and then Jaya's Fire Nado, definitely more filler than those 2, but still good to have that much removal. We've got the Vine Wall to help pull out these random duels, which help with our domain for our Gaia's Mites and our Nishoba Brawler. So really big fan of this sealed pool. Hopefully I can get a few wins with this one and get a nice chunk of gems out of this event. So without further ado, let's head into round 1. Well, this is a... oh, this is a hand. This is really one of those hands that tests you. I don't think we can keep a hand with no play until turn 5. Obviously, we could get lucky and draw into plays. The way that our deck is curved, statistically speaking, we're pretty likely to draw some 2s and 3s. And then I feel like we have a good shot if we do. This is almost definitely supposed to be a mulligan, though. Opponent is on the play, though, so we're on the draw. Any more lands is just deadly. It's just devastating. Even if we hit more cards, we'll just flat out so hard if we've drawn 7, 8 lands early in the game like this. I'm gonna mulligan. I'm not very happy having to do that, but it is what it is. Here we can start with a Goblin Picker. Got a Gaia's Might for giant growth stats, +3/+3. Yeah, we'll go for it. Keep this hand. Opponent starts with a Swamp into Evolved Sleeper. Wow, am I glad I mulliganed. I would have been incredibly dead. This card is an incredible 1 mana rare. It's going to become very large very quickly, as well as draw my opponent a ton of cards. We basically have to draw into some of our cheap removal, or we are bound to lose this game to the Evolved Sleeper. We need to draw into our Lightning Strike or a Bite Down, and we need it ASAP. As soon as possible. Opponent is just going to hit us for 1 and then play a 2-drop, I guess. Nope, Battlefly Swarm. Well, we've got 5 mana removal for the Evolved Sleeper. That's not ideal, but since they haven't evolved it at all yet, it might come into play on time. I might have to use this Goblin Picker to help draw into some more lands. That's part of why I was pretty okay with, wow, Pilferer Defiler. It's part of why I was okay with keeping all of my non-lands and putting a land on the bottom, is because Picker can, if I get mana screwed here, it can discard something like the Gaia's Might to help dig for lands. Yep, goodbye Defiler of Vigor. Pretty good pilfer. Our opponent only has red mana up, which means the Goblin Picker can get in, and now I have 4 lands at least. So let's just send in the Goblin Picker. Play a 4/4 next turn to block with. And then hopefully have a Fire Nado on turn 5 to kill the Sleeper. But yeah, I'm assuming Goblin Picker is only really stopping 1 damage on blocks, but it's dealing 2 damage on attacks. Because they only have 1 swamp still, so if they evolve the Sleeper, they don't get to cast any black spells. They are going to evolve the Sleeper here, so we did trade 2 damage for 2 damage. Alright, we know that we have Fire Nado mana now, which is very sweet. Gonna send in the Picker, drop the 4/4 reach, and pass the turn. We are gonna get to Fire Nado this thing before it draws them any cards. Even if they play a Swamp, they won't have the mana to evolve it into the 3/3 status and put a counter on it and draw a card, because they would need 3 black to do that. So it looks like Fire Nado is gonna be in time to stop Sleeper from drawing cards, which is nice. That is super important. So if they attack with Sleeper here, they're threatening to evolve the Sleeper to trade up into our Sentry. I think that's fine. And then we could just hold Fire Nado for something else. I don't really have another spell to play next turn anyway, so I feel like next turn I'm just going to Fire Nado a Sleeper regardless. So I actually probably just let this in so I can keep this out, have more damage on board than my opponent. Try to outrace. Aggressive Sabotage. Well, now I need to top deck a land. That's awkward. Never didn't have it. Scry that away. I'm down to 9, which is painful, but I have 6 power on board. They have 1. So I do attack all there. That aggressive Sabotage was pretty brutal here. Now our opponent is at 4 cards to 0 in our hand, but we've got 2 on board to their 1 on board, so we kind of have 2 to play around with. They have 5 to play around with, so they're 3 cards ahead of us, basically. Although I guess they don't have a 5th land on board, so they're kind of 2 cards ahead of us, which is exactly what you'd expect after an aggressive Sabotage. Ooh, Monstrosity. I definitely drop that before I get into combat and do anything, because if I do this post-combat, I very likely do not have a big enough creature to cast this. So they can give the Battlefly Swarm Death Touch to trade into whatever. So do I send in Sentry and Picker, or do I just send in Picker? I kind of feel like I'm going to just send in Picker, and then I'm cool with sending in like Picker and Monstrosity for trample damage later. Because then even if Monstrosity trades off, it's still dealing 4 to their face, trading into a Battlefly Swarm. They're just going to trade the Swarm up into the Picker, or play a combat trick here. Maybe a Furious Bellow is what they were trying to do to my Sentry earlier. Battle Rage Blasting, different trick, same result. I guess they don't scry off of this trick though, which is nice. Yavimaya Steel Crusher. Okay, okay. We're definitely attacking both here. They get to kill one of these with the Battlefly Swarm, but we get to trample over quite a bit with one of these. Currently dealing 5 damage to our opponent. We can make it 8 with a Gaia's Might. That's not worth changing anything. This is going to be rough. Looks like they're probably going to try to play removal on Monstrosity, and then I'm out of stuff to do. If they don't have removal for Monstrosity, I almost definitely kill them with this Gaia's Might. But if they do, they stabilize and take over the game, because we'll be out of gas. Send in the Steel Crusher, put us down to 7. Tap out for something with 3 or less toughness, please. Urborg Repossession, gain 2 life. Alright, oh, that is such a good draw. That makes it even more likely we just kill them on the spot. Now they need some really good instant speed interaction to survive. Because I don't even have to cast Gaia's Might until they try to kill something. Alright, sweet. Very close game, one that was some stressful stuff. Our opponent just stuck off 1 mana from their big plays. I'm guessing they probably had like Extinguish the Light in their hand, like a double black removal spell they were trying to hit. So do we have really anything to sideboard against this deck? Smash to Dust actually looked maybe okay. It would kill the Battlefly Swarm, it would kill the Evolved Sleeper if they didn't have mana up for it. Evolved Sleeper, Battlefly Swarm, but that was only 2 creatures that we saw. We saw 3 creatures all game. I don't think that's enough information to slam a Smash to Dust into the deck. It's just going to be so bad if we have this in hand and our opponent just has 2 Toughness plus creatures and it's doing nothing. I don't think we need more Jayas, Fire Nados either. We saw 1 bomb so far, which was just the Evolved Sleeper. I don't really think we have like a super obvious sideboard option for this matchup. I just don't think we have enough information to go on. Our opponent's stuck on mana a little bit. We don't really have anything to sideboard against discard. We'll just remember to try to play around Aggressive Sabotage. Pilfer you can't really play around because it chooses the card. Sabotage you choose the card, so you can just try to hold extra stuff in hand. Yeah, we'll remember Battle Rage Blessing as an instance. Battle Rage Blessing. And that was it for instance. And then we need to remember Aggressive Sabotage. If I flood out, it might be better to hold some lands if I ever draw like a Lightning Strike and don't want to cast it immediately. Something like that. All right, that's about it. We just have some information we can write down. We don't really have anything worth sideboarding, I think. Game 2, here we go. Quirion Beastcaller on 2 with a Defiler of Vigor in hand for later. Super, super nice. We even have the white source for the Keldon Strike team, but I might just haste it out here. Play that as my 3-drop if I don't draw another card. Okay, we'll play Iconoclast instead then, so I could maybe kick it later. That's going to be really nice. Opponent starts with a turn 2 Toxic Abomination. Okay. Let's get all our different colors out first. We drop the Beast Collar and pass. Abomination's going to hit us a bit here. There's no way I'm trading Beast Collar into that at this point. I feel like I can outrace it though. Since it did some damage to them, I'm about to play a nice Trampler. We've got 1 mana up. They could have their own Gaia's Might. We didn't see any 1 mana tricks from my opponent yet, so I am going to just send in. We'll deal it all, put them to 11 here. We have double Gaia's Might now as well. I could play a Strike Team and still hold up a Gaia's Might next turn. They're still racing. We're down to 12. They are going for it here. Aggressive Sabotage? I actually feel like I discard Defiler Gaia's Might. Then I play a Keldon Strike team. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's lethal. Oh my god. Yeah, we discarded Defiler. It's just objectively correct to discard Defiler Vigor. That's hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. And that's just lethal. That's just game. That's just the fastest game 2 imaginable. Beast Collar into Iconoclast is an absurd curve. And we had another Haster to play after that, and a Gaia's Might. Ridiculous stuff. A quick, clean 2-0 out of round 1. Lack of a red source is pretty painful here. Stuck on a mono-colored hand with no cards we can actually play, because Gaia's Might doesn't work unless we have a creature. I think we got to mulligan this. This is even worse. I have to be on the mold of 5 round 2. And this is gonna have to do. It is still mono green though, so we're gonna get rid of both the red cards. At least our opponent mold to 5 as well. This is not gonna be a great game for either of us. Not a particularly fun start to round 2 here. Well, immediately drawing another red card. Yikes. This is very not ideal. Either of these is just going to trade into Splatter Goblin because of its -1/-1 effect. Play the Iconoclast. I guess if I top deck Mountain Brawler into Iconoclast would have been better, but this plays better if I don't top deck a Mountain because then I can actually attack for 3 instead of just 2. And neither one blocks that Goblin. Opponent is on blue, white, and black with Splatter Goblin and Automatic Librarian. They might just be white-black. We don't know for sure how much blue's in the deck. Since we haven't seen an island, we've only seen a blue duel. And as you know, with Domain in the format, you can play off-color duels as I'm doing with Radiant Grove. Alright, we didn't hit the red source, so Iconoclast was the better play. The question is, do we trade it into Librarian? It's not really accomplishing much else this game. I mean, we're going to get a 2/5 and a 4/4 eventually that can block these things without dying, but I don't know if I can wait. Because I'll take another 5 and go to 13 if I don't start trading these cards off. And if I trade off on the attack, I actually get an extra point of damage in. I'm just going to go for the attack. Uh-oh. Snap, no blocks. They are trying to outrace here. Not a fan. Cut down on Brawler, which is pretty good. If I had a red source, Brawler would have been right out of reach of the cut down. And then they'd have to just shoot Iconoclast instead. Oh my god, this is really brutal. It's incredibly rough. Mana this round. We saw 3 hands, and all 3 hands were monocolored with 2 or less lands in them. There's the Mountain. If their last card in hand is not like an Essence Scatter or a removal spell, Sentry can stabilize us pretty hard. If it is, it's better to crush her first and see if we can pull it out, and then we just take 2 damage for the turn. Let's crush her first. Alright, no removal, no counter. Another Librarian, though, really setting up the draws. Both on top. Not a good sign at all. That's a card. Can't afford to play that and block the Cavalier, and they just put 2 cards on top. Probably, or possibly removal. I guess if I play the Defiler Vigor the next turn, if I top deck a land, I get to go Sentry and Lightning Strike in the same turn. Not that I'll need it if a Sentry resolves and sticks around. Do I just play Defiler, hope they put removal on top, and then have them shoot Defiler so that I can actually resolve and keep a Sentry? I think that's our best bet. It's super rough, but it's our best bet here, I think. Well, they didn't keep removal. Kept a Captain's Call. Okay, that's brutal. We've got a Bite Down and a Lightning Strike. If I pay 2 life for this Sentry, I can hold up Bite Down or Lightning Strike. But then I'm at 3 life against all these creatures, which does not seem winnable. I feel like I probably Bite Down while they're tapped out, because that's the removal spell that's more likely to go poorly for me. And then I hold up a Lightning Strike for now. Because I'm not going to pay life for the Sentry. Okay. Cast a Magnagoth Sentry. Well, now they've got a Scatter, maybe? They've got an instant of some kind. It's looking really bad for us. We've just drawn our lands too slowly here, where we're really on the back foot in life total. Resolute Reinforcements, I think that just kills us. 3 blockers, we take 4. Kills us in 2 attacks. Ooh, they don't attack though, and we still have Lightning Strike. Got a shot. Teensy tiny little shot here. Griffin Protector, that's pretty bad. That's pretty bad for me. Don't think I Lightning Strike it yet, because I still have a reach creature. Oh my god, yes. I can pay that without Phyrexian mana and still hold up Lightning Strike. Well, that's removal. Wow, that's bad. That is very bad. That's just game, I think. 1, 2 blockers. We go block, block. I take 5 even if I kill the Griffin Protector. Block, block, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I can't do anything even with the Lightning Strike. Brutal game 1. Really, really rough moles. Could have preserved a little more life total if I went for Sentry before Vigor there. Only play we could have done differently. Thought with the Scry to the top though, with the straight gas coming though, that maybe it was better to drop Vigor first, so if they had removal, it gets dragged out and we get to keep the reach creature, but obviously it played out pretty poorly for us. And then the other thought was, then on 6 I could have Sentry plus Strike if I hit a land there. But then I hit a tapped land, so that didn't pan out either. It's only real misplay, and I don't think it would have saved us. We would have gotten like 1 more turn there, but that stall for time was lethal regardless, because our creatures don't untap another turn. Yeah, that was brutal. Don't know what I really even sideboard here. Our combat tricks are phenomenal against cut down. Our deck's kind of pre-sideboarded against cut down, which is wonderful. Other than that, there's like a good chunk of flyers in the stall for time, but I don't have anything to stop stall for time. But against Griffin Protector and Mesa Cavalier, I kind of just have the, ooh, you know what I put in? Captain's Call and stuff? I put in a Smash to Dust is what I put in. What do I take out, though? What do they have that's... What do I have that's really bad against them? Maybe Vine Wall or something? Just doesn't feel necessary. Pretty slow. Yeah, probably just like Vine Wall here. Throwing the Smash to Dust against all those, we saw 2 artifact creatures and we saw a ton of 1 toughness. So if they, like, Mesa Cavalier turn 3, Captain's Call turn 4, and we Smash to Dust, and just wipe their board, that's gonna be beautiful. They've got Splatter Goblins as well with 1 toughness. Alright. Main thing here, though, is gonna be hitting better mana, hitting better hands, which we have not done yet. Mono red hand. But 2 playables no matter what. A really, really great card if we can hit a green source, which we have 9 in the deck. I'm going to keep this one. We've got 2 plays no matter what. Saw how our mulligans went for us last game. It is entirely possible to just mold a 5 and then still just have a mono-colored hand. It could certainly be better, but could also be much worse than this, so we'll go for it. Any land gets us to the strike team on 3. Any land in the first draws, any basic land off the first draw will let us play our 2-drop on turn 2 instead of on turn 3, which is nice. And if we hit a forest as our first land draw, we're living the dream. We just play Beast Caller and then just start going. Alright, let's go. Not good. Not a good first draw. Opponent has a turn 2 Guardian of Dominaria, and I do not have my cheap removal right now. We have hit a 3rd red source. Oh, not like this. Get a Goblin Picker so I can start discarding cards to dig for the green source. Just gonna get rolled by this Guardian of Dominaria. I cannot kill that thing. I guess even if we had our cheap removal, I can just discard a card and save it. Yikes. Got a 2-drop to play here, so I discard like Furious Bellow. Oh, dear. Well, here's the Steel Crusher. Just kind of have to stop all the damage I can while I'm stuck on mana. Mesa Cavalier. Not sure if I discard this mountain. This mountain can get me to a Fire NATO to kill the Cavalier, I guess. Don't think I discard the mountain. I really don't want to discard Defiler Vigor, but I might have to. If I discard Strike Team, I have nothing guaranteed to play this turn. Guess I could drop Iconoclast, because it's a 2 toughness blocker, and what I need are better blockers right now. Beast Caller could be a 3 toughness or better blocker. Maybe I discard Fire NATO? I don't know. Our best bet is to somehow get 2 green sources get towards this Defiler. So if we just go like Forest into Beast Caller this turn, another Forest into Defiler. But yeah, like if I discard this mountain and then I just draw a non-land card that I can't currently cast, that's like so bad. Because then I don't even play a card this turn, I don't play the Strike Team, so I really don't want to discard the Strike Team, I don't want to discard the mountain. This is so unlikely to be right, but I want to discard Fire NATO or Iconoclast, but maybe it's just Defiler. I'm going to discard Iconoclast. There's the green source, but if I play it this turn, I don't play anything. Likely still worth it. Take 4 down to 12. Fourth mana from our opponent. And Captain's Call. Well, I sideboarded against board states like this. If I can hit that Smash to Dust. We do not have the second green. I can cast Beast Caller and Steel Crusher off of playing the Mountain, going 4 lands. So I think I discard the Strike Team now. Although the Strike Team does give me enough blockers to block all these 1/1s on the ground, so maybe I just play that and pass. I guess, yeah. Probably where we're at here. Then start forcing them to discard cards to this Guardian of Nubenalia. Block the Guardian with the 3/1. Fire NATO Cavalier next turn. If we don't hit another green. You know, they're just gonna get scry 2 every turn now. Yeah, well, we killed an automatic librarian. Cavalier. Hey, that's genuinely really sweet. Drop that and the Beast Caller here. Can still afford the Goblin Picker's ability. Might want to chip in for a little soldier damage there, maybe. Well, the Cavalier is a 2/1. Still technically a 2/2, but a 2/2 with 1 damage on it. I really want to play it safe with Defiler in hand. Knight of Dawn's Light. That might draw our Fire NATO, since the Fire NATO can't kill the Guardian anyway. I don't actually know if I'm using this Goblin Picker again, because I want Defiler, I want Fire NATO, and I want Steel Crusher, because Steel Crusher lets me get a counter on Beast Caller. So I might just chump with Picker here, because I have to chump, and I want to put enough damage on the Guardian to where they have to discard a card. So it's either 2 1/1s or 1 Goblin Picker, and I kind of like the 1/1s as potential chumps for Knight of Dawn's Light in the future. Or just other big things. Yeah, I think I throw Picker under the bus now. Alright, we killed a Banalish Faithbonder now. There's Defiler mana. Huge potential way to recover if they don't have removal. If they don't have removal coming up, that's too big for them to really attack into. Well, they could double pump the Knight and then enlist the Knight to the Guardian to attack with a 6/2 indestructible, but then I just block with the 1/1s. Citizen's Arrest, yep. And there goes our hopes and dreams. We do not have a Broken Wings in our sealed pool to blow that up. We have one Destroy Evil, but it's kind of a hard splash. Discard your last card in hand. Ooh, we got rid of a Tribute to Urborg that time. Now we have a Lightning Strike while they have no cards in hand, so we know we can kill the Guardian. Then we have to only worry about killing the Knight. They did just scry things to the top, though. We definitely strike the Guardian, play a Steel Crusher to chump the Knight. And then we Fire NATO the Knight in the future. Because they can double pump Knight this turn and make it a 4/4. There's no way Beast Caller's blocking, so we actually just send it in here. I guess this way they get to attack both, though, where they couldn't otherwise. Because then if they tried to attack both, they'd just lose Cavalier, and just the Knight would get in. But I mean, I can kill Cavalier here, so it gives me a better block than just a chump. Single pump the Knight, so they've got 2 mana to play whatever they drew. Did it destroy evil here? Oh, squeeze good. Squeeze good, but I'm at 7 and they have an instant. It's Resolute Reinforcements, probably. 2 mana, get 2 1/1s. So they go for chumps here, they double block and kill Squee, but then I can recast Squee from grave anyway. I feel like it's probably right to just Fire NATO this Knight, and then, well, no. Beast Caller's a 5/5, they can't attack into a 5/5, because that'll just be a 4/4, so I actually do just run Squee into this Resolute Reinforcements. They trade both the 1/1s into the Squee, and then we recast Squee next turn. Or they just play it to go wide and hit us. Like, I still block there and take 2, and then I kill the Knight, unless the next card is also great. Well, the next card is also exceptional. God dang it. Oh, they didn't have the mana to kick it, though. Oh my god, okay. Oh god, I hate this game sometimes. Gotta keep sending Squee in, right? Send in Squee, cast a Barkweave, or do I send in Squee, kill the Knight? Probably need to play around more stall for times out of their deck. So I think it's probably better to Fire NATO the Knight. Although if I cast Barkweave and they just stall for time, they hit me for 2 and I go to 1 still. Please don't double stall for time me here. And this way, if they play like a big bomby creature, if they play like a Griffin Protector or something, I don't just die now. I can Fire NATO a flyer instead of just dying to a flyer. Pilfer, god dang it. I do not have attacks anymore. If I attack with Squee, they're going to kill Squee with First Strike, and then they're going to kill my 1/1 with a 2/2. And it just accomplishes nothing. If I attack with a 6/6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they have 6 power on board. Not blocking the Knight very well after that, but can kill a creature off this attack or hit them for 6. Actually, I'm still blocking the Knight. I block with a 2/5 on the Knight. There's the Griffin Protector, but they had the Pilfer to kill the removal I kept for it. Oh, screw me. 4 attackers on the ground. I need to block every single one. I need them to not top deck a creature. Anything else I attack with just gets blocked by Griffin Protector. So I can only attack with Beast Caller again. Kill a 1/1. They drew the creature to kill us with Griffin Protector. That was a brutal match. We had a horrifically bad start each round. And we got really close to stabilizing and turning things around each round anyway. Arena tried really hard to make those as close to a non-game as possible and fought pretty hard against that, but not much you can do. Being stuck on mana so often early game. Super brutal. We had a lot of outs still at this point too. Like if we had our Colossal Growth to give trample on attacks, we would have just killed them. That was a really sad match. That's really frustrating. It's definitely a part of Magic. Super sad when it happens, but especially brutal when it happens in a competitive event like this, but part of the game and a part of life. You just gotta deal with it. Clean your wounds and move on. See if we can turn things around as we head into match 3. Here we are in round 3. Snap Keep, infinitely better than every hand we saw last round. All 4 of them. Snap Keep. I believe we're on the play as well, so we get a turn 2 Nishoba Brawler as a 3/3 trample with a Gaia's Might backup. This should be a nasty start. Opponent is going to take a mulligan here. Down to 6. Alright, and they'll keep the 6-card hand, and we'll pass. Tangled Isle is the first play. We'll play our Brawler. Now I even have another land to play next turn, so it's a 4/3 trample as soon as it starts attacking. Knight of Dawn's Light from our opponent. It's pretty fine by us. Let's make this a 4/3 trample, shall we? Hit for 4, put them down to 16, and drop a Floriferous Vine Wall to pull out another land, maybe another land type if we have a swamp here. We do, a Geothermal Bog. Let's go. Let's go. That's going to be full domain for all of our Nishoba Brawler Gaia's Might purposes, but we're probably playing Magnagoth Sentry into Defiler of Vigor instead. If I attack with Brawler here, they can pump the Knight, but then after they pump the Knight, we can Gaia's Might. And just kill it and trample over for a bunch. Which I guess means we're playing Bog this turn. Still wanted to go for the attack first, because then if they don't block, we just drop a Magnagoth Sentry. Another Gaia's Might, pretty good stuff. Should close out this game pretty quickly, especially if we just drop Defiler and pass. That is 11 power of trample on the board with a +5/+5 trick lying in wait. Big Morrow, but all I gotta do is play a green permanent and it's lethal on board. Don't even have to cast the second Gaia's Might. And they're gonna scoop them up. That is 1-0 in round 3. So we did not see a lot that game. We kind of just trampled over with a great start. We saw Knight of Dawn's Light and a Territorial Morrow. We know they're a slower domain deck, so I love our aggressive Gruul strategy against this. Not much we can do to make the deck more aggressive. It's kind of as streamlined as it can be. I guess I could put the Llanowar Stalker in if I really want a 1-drop, but that doesn't seem right. Turn 1 is for playing our tapped lands, and then we just play one of our many 2-drops and curve out from there. Yep, I'm pretty sure we run it back for this matchup. Didn't see any tricks to keep in mind or anything like that. Opponent is choosing if they would like to go first or second. I'm assuming they're going to go first here, judging by how all the play aggro went for us. Yeah, they are going to go first. We've got both of our colors here and a turn 2 Beast Caller, so pretty much a snap keep. Once again, better than all 4 hands last round. Turn 2, Beast Caller. Let's get things started. Now I can even play Librarian instead of Strike Team here, which is nice, because then I could kick the Strike Team later, potentially. Although I might just want to aggro them out, just play the Haster. Yeah, because I don't have a white source right now anyway, and I already know what my turn 4 play can be, so I don't need to scry into something specific. Let's drop a Strike Team. No matter what, we get a counter on Beast Caller. Potentially, we also resolve some haste. Alright, hit them to 14. And they did not have an instant there, or they didn't want to cast their instant. Citizen's Arrest. Goodbye, Beast Caller. Still beating in with the Strike Team, which is nice. Probably drop the Barkweave Crusher here. Yep, I believe that is the play. Although Librarian is more damage on the board. Sets up our next draw. That's actually probably just better, awkwardly enough, to just have a higher power creature. Magnagoth Sentry? Sure. Already got 5 mana, I don't need the green-white land. I don't have any domain in hand for it. Got a Bite Down and a Fire NATO if I need to clear things off the board. Elfhame Worm, well, let's keep the pressure on and put them down to 5 here. Kill this Elfhame Worm and scry. Don't want this Radiant Grove. If it were an untapped land, I'd keep it so I could go Sentry Bite Down in the same turn next turn. But it's a tap land, so it does not actually help do that. Mesa Cavalier, unfortunate. That gains them some life here, so we do not have lethal on board, even if I kill the Cavalier. We do have the mana for Magnagoth Bite Down. Is that worth it? Put them to 1? Probably so. Let's drop the Sentry. Cast the Bite Down. Bite Downing on the Sentry, so if they do have instant speed interaction to kill whatever I'm trying to Bite Down with, at least I still have all my creatures that can attack on the board. Although I probably shouldn't have a Bit Down with Sentry, because theoretically then I'm open to a Destroy Evil, where they destroy a creature with toughness 4 or greater. I could put them to 1 here, which puts them in reach of a Lightning Strike, but then I just I'm out of creatures to get in. Only got 1 creature left. I think it's better not to do that, because my deck is full of combat tricks. I have Colossal Growth, 3 Gaia's Might, Furious Bellow. That's 5 combat tricks and only 1 Lightning Strike. And the combat tricks find lethal if I just have 1 more creature than my opponent. So we play to the combat tricks instead. Try to draw into those. Try to go wide here. Hopefully I don't have more white permanents to go with the Defiler. They do seem pretty domainy, so it's possible. Alright, Vinewall is not a white permanent. Or a white creature, specifically? Any white permanent gives them a 1/1 soldier. Okay. Alright. Plains, sure. Knight of Dawn's Light. Very unfortunate. This is how you stabilize. If your opponent floods a little, well, you've got a card to play 2 creatures per creature spell. Kicked Scout the Wilderness, yeah. We need our Colossal Growth or we're not winning now. Or at least not quickly. If we... Ooh! I was gonna say, if we hit like Defiler or something, we could still probably get in. Let's enlist this Barkweave Crusher. Just get as much trample as possible. 6 + 4, 10 with trample. Alright, Colossal Growth. Win some games out of nowhere. And it'll certainly win this game out of nowhere. Ask and you shall receive that game. Arena's like, sorry about last round. Here's your Colossal Growth you just asked for. Actually just 180'd from blacklisted to whitelisted. The Shuffler Gods are with us in round 3. And we'll be 2-1 as we head into round 4, meaning no matter what, I'm getting 3,000 gems out of this event and a 50-50 win rate. Cannot be too unhappy about that in a very competitive event. Here we are in round 4. We've got both of our colors. 4 lands for Domain and a turn 2 Nishoba Brawler. Well, not turn 2 because these are both tapped lands. There's got to be a keep here. We've got a Vine Wall as well to hit the 3rd land. Maybe a little slow, but there's the Forest. Now I can go Tributary into Forest Brawler, into Grove Vine Wall the turn after. They can have a Tribute to Urborg for -2/-2 to a creature, but I don't have another early game threat to play here. If I had the 2-mana 3/2 or something, I would just drop it down here, see if that draws the removal. I guess Tribute to Urborg's -2/-2 until they can kick it, so that can't even kill Brawler anyway. Urg, you're too juicy. Too thick. We probably Gaia's Might Urg. Gaia's Might and Vine Wall as the play this turn, which means I want to play an untapped land, so I don't Radiant Grove pre-combat. Unless I just want to get 1,000,000 damage in here instead. I would rather Vine Wall Gaia's Might, get a little less damage. Interesting. Alright, we'll just deal 3 then. In which case I just Vine Wall. That's awkward. Yeah, a little less damage then. Another Radiant Grove is unnecessary. We'll get a second red source here. I've got 3 green sources on board and in hand currently. Goodbye Squee and Defiler. Lagomos, Hand of Hatred. They get a 2/1 trample haste to attack with every turn. So we're taking 2 a turn for now. Bone Splinters, Tail Swipe? Yeah, that works too. That's rough. So they have fight removal, so we'll play around that next round. I'm going to track that right now. Always hold up a Gaia's Might when we can to play around instant speed fight removal. Lightning Strike as well is really good against fight style removal. We're just playing Sentry now, I think. Play Steel Crusher and Bite Down. Doesn't do anything. Steel Crusher Strike could kill Lagomos. Might be worth it. Get this thing out of here. Because they probably have Bone Splinters and stuff to work with it. Do some disgusting things. Yeah, let's do that. While they're tapped out, just get rid of this thing. Urg surveils a land into the grave, mills them 1 there. So Urg is now a 2/5. They can also sack lands to gain life off Turg. Magnagoth Sentry of their own. More than willing to trade a Gaia's Might into that. Or just get 2 free damage. Alright, trade into the Sentry. I'll trade the Gaia's Might into the Sentry. A little harder to kill Urg than the Sentry, but Bite Down still gets there after it blocks. Or I can just start attacking with a 6/2 Steel Crusher instead of sending in the Sentry. And then I can just Bite Down with a 6/2. Vine Shaper Prodigy, they've got 1 mana up after this. Pretty good card draw, great value here. And that actually blocks Steel Crusher too, which is rough. But I can clear out their whole board still by enlisting into the Steel Crusher. Because then they trade the Prodigy into the Steel Crusher and I Bite Down. Oh my god, I can Gaia's Might plus Bite Down now? So I just slam both in? It doesn't really matter where I use these. It works either way. I actually might just hold on to Bite Down and just let Steel Crusher trade into Prodigy. Play the Barkweave Crusher. think I'd rather hold on to a Bite Down than a Gaia's Might. Although Gaia's Might lets me kill much bigger things. But only if they block. I can't Bite Down and Crusher this turn though, so we'll Gaia's Might. So I can Gaia's Might and Crusher. Opponent is definitely going to know to play around Gaia's Might next game, unfortunately. We've cast a lot of those. We've cast 2 of them here. Bird Migration, pretty brutal. Not an incredibly beatable card. Yeah, I think they might have it now. 4 3/3s off 1 card. Still have 2 Defilers in our deck, but one of them is in our bottom 6 cards, as well as our Squee. Squee's not good against 4 3/3s though. Stronghold Arena, that's very fine by me. That does not really do anything. Colossal Growth, kind of spicy. Probably just enlist with Barkweave Crusher, but then they get to hit us with this Stronghold Arena. As much as I'd love to send in a Crusher enlisting, then they get to pop off a Stronghold Arena, and that's probably not for the best. Can only kill 2 3/3s off a Colossal Growth anyway, so it's actually not the spiciest, but if I Colossal Growth plus Bite Down, 8/8, fighting 3 3/3s, I put them down to a single 3/3 left. I want to get this Crusher attack in, but then they crack back with Arena. Kind of a pivotal turn, because if they block a lot, the Crusher could do some crazy things, but if they just don't block at all, or they just block with 1, then Arena turns things around. Actually, they only draw 1 card. Whenever 1 or more creatures you control deal combat damage to your player, you may reveal the top card. So they're only going to get 1 card here, so I'll go for it. They only get 1 card, so this is fine. Hit for 6 and they get 1 card. They do hit for like 12. Okay, yeah, that was probably not right. And Colossal Growth to kill this one here and keep the Vine Wall around if I want. I think I will. Kill another one here. They still draw 1 card, but they're down to 2 3/3s. Extinguish the Light. That's a good draw. Did deal 4 damage to them though, but there goes Magnagoth. Sacred Peaks, they have full domain now. And they're just going to hold on to the Extinguish the Lights. 6 mana. How much does this cost naturally? 8 minus 2 for Crusher, so I can still cast this post-combat, even if they kill Sentry. Okay, well, they're probably going to kill this monstrosity. I don't think I can afford to not play it here. Because then if they like blow up Sentry right now and then they find something to blow up Crusher, it's stuck in my hand uncastable. Unless I hit 2 more lands. I kind of have to let them just extinguish my monstrosity. Yep. Alright, come on, Stronghold Arena. Hit a high mana value card for my opponent. Have them take like 6 damage here. Nope. Oh, that was a really good one too, because they get 2 1/1s off of it, which makes it really possible for them to hit again with it. But I mean, they're at 6 life now, so they're getting to the point where it's getting pretty risky to go for Stronghold Arena. But now I can't get any damage in this turn if they double block. And they can choose not to use Arena, I guess. Yikes. Bite down my 2/5. Beast Caller is a card that blocks the 1/1s. Block a 3/3, block a 1/1. We just play Beast Caller and pass now. If I attack in, they block with a 1/1, attack me with 2/3/3s. I can't block either well, and I'm at 10 life right now. Land per turn. Pass. Furious Bellow. Don't think that actually makes attacks any better for me. Because they're still just gonna like block with 1/1s and then crack back with 3/3s. Although I can Furious Bellow my Vine Wall on blocks, I guess? Maybe it's a little better. I also get to scry off of it. Yeah, whatever. Send a sentry in. They double block Beast Caller with 2/3/3s. Bellow doesn't get there, so just send in the sentry alone. Kill a 1/1. Okay, so they also have Bite Down to play around. Another card that the best way to play around is just hold your Gaia's Mites and stuff. Another instance yet. Send in 1/3/3. Furious Bellow the Vine Wall and scry one. Scry that to the bottom. My opponent knows I have infinite tricks for them to play around. Again, I've played like every trick in my deck. If I attack with Sentry, they can double block to kill it. If they just block with the 1/1, they crack back with their 3/3. I can chump with Vine Wall now, or just take 3 damage. Worst case scenario, they draw 1 card off Arena at 6 life. That could be a chunk of damage. I think I am sending in the 4/4 again, clearing out these 1/1s and passing the turn. That's removal for Beast Caller, probably. I feel like they'd kill Sentry first though if they could. But maybe it's a Lightning Strike. 3 damage to a target. Yeah, Vine Wall's not accomplishing much anymore, so it's probably actually just worth stopping their card draw. It is Lightning Strike on Beast Caller. Well, put them to 2, and then they definitely can't afford to draw a card off Arena. I have full domain if it matters. Gonna light. Oh god, Rada with full domain. That looks pretty bad for us. We do some absolutely massive attacks next turn. Actually, they have to lose a creature here, so they don't get the Rada buff this turn. God dang it. We are flooding a little. I attack in, I kill a 3/3, then they're attacking me with a Rada alone. I go to 7. If I don't attack here, they're attacking me with a Rada and an 8/8 Beast, so I kind of have to just attack here and let Sentry trade into just 1 creature. Really don't feel like I have a choice, because the alternative is I have to chump block an 8/8. Oh, they've got Relic of Legends Rada. Okay, well then I'm dead no matter what, because I've just flooded. Yeah, I literally, I can't not die. I can't not lose here then, because they have Relic Rada. Forgot about the Relic Rada combo, but it doesn't matter, because we were dead either way. I could have drawn 1 more card, which was not gonna matter. Even if it was like the best card in my deck, like the Filer Vigor, it wouldn't get there. Brutal. Yeah, because I already played the Lightning Strike, so I have 0 outs to that. At that point, we get 1 more draw step where we just have to play whatever it is to chump block an 8/8. I guess I had 1 single potential out, Keldon's Strike Team. I had a 1 in 17 chance of winning had I seen the Relic Rada. So, obviously it was not the correct play to attack in there, because I didn't notice the Relic could tap the Rada. but highly unlikely it impacted the outcome of that game. So, shouldn't have sent the attack in, but almost definitely a loss regardless. We almost fought through a herd migration. That's so rough. Again, I pretty much just like how our deck is already positioned against theirs. Need a little more... Need 2 more damage worth of gas later in the game. I'm pretty sure we run it back. We've got a better shot in future games now that we know about their Tail Swipe, Bite Down, Lightning Strike stuff. Our Gaia's Mites and stuff can be really good against those. Although then we're not using them in combat as often to clear out all those big creatures they were playing. But we'll see here. Be on the play. Pretty great hand here. Great on colors. Turn 2 Iconoclast as well with multiple tricks to back it up. And a Squee turn 3. Let's go. This looks like a hand that can, fingers crossed, outrace them on the play. Alright, well, Squee is free then. No Lightning Strike for Squee. Let's go. Get in there, Squee. Get in there. 3 mana up for our opponent. They're going to drop a Sprouting Goblin. I'm going to Combat Trick here, and it's going to be nasty. If I hit an untapped land, I will play Bellow. If I hit a tapped land, I will play a kicked Colossal Growth, or if I don't hit a land. I think. I guess if I kick Colossal Growth, it does give haste as well, which can get us damage out of nowhere. Or like lethal out of nowhere, so maybe I just Bellow no matter what. Gaia's Might. Now I could Steel Crusher and Gaia's Might instead. That's probably the best. So I'm still putting more creatures on this board. Okay, well. There's Gaia's Might there then. Steel Crusher. And all these combat tricks are nice little instants to fill the grave for Squee to happen faster. There's a Defiler. That's cool, but I'm far from affording that. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. No tricks, that's fine. Just use tricks this turn and find lethal. Jaya's Fire Nado. Yep, they're definitely dead. Squee survives. And that is super, super game. Incredible aggro curve on the play there. Obviously we can't follow that up in game 3 because we're unfortunately going to be on the draw again, but we can do something similar, but mildly slower. That was kind of the cookie cutter, just what our deck wants to do. I could throw another Fire NATO in here. The biggest problem we ran up against was a gigantic field of 3/3s though, and 1-for-1 removal on 3/3s isn't good, but another Fire NATO to have killed the Garner or something would have been nice. Again, yeah, I don't think it's worth it. Because again, it just feels like we just aggro out with all these tricks. That's the plan, and that is how we won the game that we won. Try to follow that up. Same game plan. This is a risky hand, but I've got a Vine Wall on 2 at least, so I'm doing something. That something is just pulling more lands out of my deck. Opponent's on the play here, so we're on the draw. I'm going to keep this. It's got a very, very good late game with Defiler on 5. You saw me earlier today deliberate on keeping a hand that was 6 lands in Defiler Vigor. So if it's 5 lands a turn 2 play in Defiler Vigor, I'll keep it. I would have snap kept if it wasn't the Defender. If it was like the 2 mana 3/2 Trampler or something, I would have been like snap keep immediately. This hand is incredible. Okay, we've got a Tributary, so we're doing really well on Domain. Full Domain now. Unfortunately put another Defiler on bottom as well as 4 non-lands. Not ideal. But at least we've got full Domain for +5/+5 Gaia's Might. That'll be pretty spicy. Dang, if we had an aggressive curve here. No place on turn 3 too. Unfortunate. little scared now. We've drawn a few lands here. Opponent's got great mana going on. No place till turn 4. Oh my god, I should have just mulliganed into an aggro hand. No, just draw all combat tricks. These are not particularly great draws. Turn 5 from our opponents. They do have a Vine Shaper Prodigy now. Okay. That's fine. That's their first play here. Could attack with a 16/16 Defiler Vigor if I double Gaia's Might. That's hilarious. So I can kill them with 2 attacks of a Defiler Vigor if they don't make blockers, but I have to assume they kept this hand. Oh my god, I can kill them in 1 Defiler Vigor attack? Please, please, Lord. My fingers are crossed. No removal, and then just don't block Defiler. Oh my god, please. Please. No! Oh, god damn it. They didn't play a single Destroy Evil last game. Oh my god, if I just get literally 1 creature that can attack out of any of my draws, I can, like, kill them. This is not good at all. Could Gaia's Might to kill that thing, but I would rather try to use it to find lethal out of nowhere later in the game. Oh my god, please, Arena. Don't do this to me. This was part of the risk of the hand that I kept, but this is still statistically unlikely at best. And incredibly bad luck at worst. Alright, that's a trampler. I've got exactly enough mana. No more removal, please. They probably just kept 7 removal spells. Yep, I guess I can go screw myself. If I get my 2 mana, my 3 mana 4/3 trample haste, could be a win con. Lands are definitely not win cons. I'm still just all in on just lucking out with a trample haste. Or just the 3/1 haste even could maybe win if they don't block. Oh, that'd be 18 damage. I need to do 19, so it has to be the 4/3 trample haste and they have to not block. Oh my god. I'm just dead now. I can block 1 creature. That was horrendous draws. Unfortunate. Part of the risk of the hand that I kept. Obviously, in hindsight, I should have mulliganed, but we could have just got 1 creature through that game. It would have been pretty phenomenal. But I drew 0 creatures all game. Oh wait, no, I drew 1. I drew 1 creature. Started with Vinewall Defiler, and then I drew 1 creature. So they only needed 2 removal spells to stop my whole plan. That feels so bad. Extra bad too, because they had such a, like, greedily slow hand, but I guess I did too. We both kept a greedily slow hand, and my opponent just got rewarded for it, which is super rough. I guess they had plays, they just didn't have to play them. They had Destroy Evil. Bite Down they couldn't play till like turn 5 because they didn't play a creature till turn 5 though. Yeah. We literally kept just as greedy hands. My hand had 1 play until turn 5. Theirs had 0 until turn 5 because they had to use the Gristle Grotto for their first play of Vine Shaper Prodigy. We just drew worse. It happens. Again, obviously a hindsight mulligan if I knew exactly what I was going to draw, but I think the keep was fair. Maybe it was like a 45 to 55 wrong decision, but I don't think it was that egregiously wrong to keep that hand. And I hope to just draw a creature or 2 to have a game plan there. There's definitely an alternate universe where we just mulliganed that hand into an averagely aggressive hand and just rolled over our opponent while they played nothing. But we don't live in that alternate universe. We lived in the one where I kept the hand and got punished. So, 2 and 2 it is. Still not bad, still a pretty solid record for a very competitive event like this, even just having an average run against the people that make it to Qualifier Weekend is solid in my opinion. I thought this deck was better than that though, but our first match loss was incredibly due to variance, and I think the second one that was part of it as well, at least in the final game we lost. There were definitely things I could have done better, plays I could have made better, not attacking to that Garna earlier. Would have given me one chance to maybe have that 1 in 17 chance of getting the Keldon Strike team to win. Maybe with some mildly crisper lines, I could have found 2 extra damage there at some points to win that game. So a bunch of just little minor errors could have stacked up into an extra loss somewhere where we could have kept going, got another round out of it, but nothing just egregiously bad. So decently happy with how I played overall. Really happy with the luck in the sealed pool itself. Pretty unhappy with the luck in the gameplay, but it happens. 2 and 2 it'll be. We got plenty of free gems out of this event. Got 3,000 gems for free since I qualified out of being mythic. Didn't have to pay anything to get into this event. Didn't have to pay into one of the play-in events or anything, so I'll take it. We'll take these 3,000 gems and we'll run with it. But that is going to end today's video. That is going to end the Dominaria United competitive sealed for today. But at the end of the month on October 1st and 2nd is the Arena Open. I have day 2'd every limited Arena Open this year, so I plan to try my best to do so again. So if you want to see more Dominaria United competitive sealed gameplay, stick around on the channel. That'll be around on October 1st is day 1 of the Dominaria United Sealed Arena Open, which I will be playing in, and if I manage to day 2 again, then October 2nd will be Dominaria United Arena Open day 2, which will be best of 3 draft. So cool competitive stuff on the horizon if you're interested in that. If not, I still play plenty of just regular sealed and draft. It's just my favorite format. I love doing it, so I do it pretty much daily on the channel. So you can check that out too if you're interested. But yeah, other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.